Syra Rao and Regina Jackson host these little gatherings called Race to Dinner, where they invite white women to dinner to discuss, deconstructing and decolonizing their whiteness and how they can be anti racist, how they can be better, and how they can use their white privilege to benefit black lives. Well, she said this to her anti racism book club. By the way, we should tell you, we haven't even talked about this. We are the subjects of an upcoming Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro film. All the big cinemas are carrying this Nazi S, Regal, AMC. Don't go see it because nobody needs to pay that dude money, but Regina and I, along with a crew of maybe half a dozen other people, including Robin DiAngelo, who wrote White Fragility, were conned into being part of this fascist Nazi white supremacy film. So anyway, you can Google it. Well, I just saw that Nazi white supremacy movie, so let's talk about it. The movie's called Am I Racist? It stars Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire and is directed by Justin Folk. Now, word to the wise and a quick disclaimer, documentaries are not my forte. I'm not even one to really watch documentaries all that much, unless it's a subject that I'm very much interested in, or it's true crime, but I feel like that's more self-care. But we're gonna give this a go, the best we can. So it's a documentary, and all the subjects involved are aware that it is a filmed documentary, but it has a mockumentary style structure to it at times. Basically, Matt Walsh is on his anti-racist journey to discover, how he can deconstruct his own personal racism, and manages to get into rooms with some of the biggest people in the anti-racism industry, including Syra Rao and Regina Jackson, who host Race to Dinner, wrote a book about it, even had a documentary called Deconstructing Karen. It's a great documentary. It's hilarious. Matt Walsh is a menace to society. That was expert level, Borat level trolling. It's only mind-blowing if you're not familiar with this subject at all, if you've never looked into who any of these people are. That's where it's going to be mind-blowing. But I think for those of us who know who Robin DiAngelo is, we know who Syra Rao and Regina Jackson are, we know their rhetoric, we know what they believe, and we know who Ibram X. Kendi is. And the fact that they don't interview him, but they basically use quotes from him to structure the film. But for those of us who are familiar, I don't think anything that's said is going to be mind-blowing. The mind-blowing part for us is going to be the fact that he was able to get them to say what they said on camera. Now, she may have a point. Maybe they were conned into it. I know they went in under a different name in terms of what they were going to call the documentary. They told him it was going to be an anti-racism documentary, and that's what they were doing. But their words are their words. Here's the deal. She can scream, oh, it's white supremacy and, Nazi BS or whatever. The fact of the matter is, all Matt Walsh does in this movie is let these people talk. He gives these people an opportunity to speak for themselves. That's it. Well, it's all chopped and screwed and he takes their words out of context. Nope, nope, nope. What's being said is no different than what they say on the regular. The only difference here is their words are not in the safety of the echo chamber. And I imagine that's how he was able to get a seat at their tables. They're so used to being protected and seated in echo chambers, surrounded by people who think like them, that you're telling me you didn't recognize that was Matt Walsh? Next to Ben Shapiro, I feel like he has one of the most recognizable voices, just the sound of his voice in, political commentary. But if you don't step outside of your own thought bubble, I guess it makes sense that you would not realize that you're being set up. And they were set up. They were 100% set up, but their words are their words and there's no running away from it. And because he just lets them talk and just lets them spew their own nonsense, you're left to judge whether it's nonsense or not. But hearing them say it out loud and seeing how serious they are about it. Because again, this is no different than what they're saying on a regular basis. The difference is their words are not safe. They're not in a safe space to say what they want to say. It's not like the environment around them can be manipulated to protect what they have to say. Matt Walsh has decided to take what they have to say and put it out there for everyone to see and let them be the judge. The media can't protect them. Crappy journalists can't protect them. Their pundits and their peers can't protect them. Normally when they charge thousands of dollars to hear this mess, the whole world can hear it for what, $10? So for anyone who's like, oh, it's white supremacy, well, yeah, but not in the way that, Syra Rao or Robin DiAngelo would put it. So I said what I said about the documentary. It's a good documentary. It's very simple, short, straight to the point, hilarious, expert level trolling. But in terms of the subject matter itself, just from my perspective, I've never been down with any of this. It really is a mindset. It's a certain type of person to really believe that they're doing some kind of good by keeping racism alive. Anti-racism is just racism of a different shade. It's just a way to keep victimhood and supremacy alive, but in a different way. This is where we're going to get into spoilers, like who all's featured in the movie. They honestly could have ended the movie after one scene. I felt like the point was made, but they kept going. So with Bricia Wade, it was one of the first people that we meet. She is an author and a grief-informed anti-racist. She held a little workshop, and he paid $30,000 to take part in this little workshop. And it was so funny to me because she's in charge. It's her workshop. She is charging them buku money to be drugged through the mud because of the color of their skin. Like, she is the dominant one in the room, and yet she felt it necessary to say that as a black woman, she felt unsafe in that room full of white people. She's in charge. She's the one charging them money. They have willingly submitted themselves to her, and yet, in spite of having all that authority, she still wants to be the victim. As much as these thinkheads claim to hate white supremacy, they live in it and they thrive off of it because their ideology only works as long as white supremacy is true, real, and present. Because it's white supremacy that says that only white people can fix black people's problems. It's racism and white supremacy that places value in skin color. They managed to get the woman who her daughters were like looked over at a Sesame Street parade and screamed racism, even though she has no idea who the mascot was or whether or not they were white. Do y'all remember that viral video of those two white boys who were sitting in a multicultural center minding their own business, and that woman decided she was going to go up to them and tell them they needed to leave, that they were taking up space, they were making people feel unsafe? That woman, he got a seat with her. So what is the documentary? It's people exposing themselves without a filter and without a shield and without a price tag. There's a lot of money to be made in shaming people for the color of their skin.